Hi everyone, Jo here. You know what that means. Grab yourself a brew, maybe a cheeky biscuit or a cheeky jelly baby. I'm into jelly babies at the minute. I think it's time we had a little catch up and we're going to do something a bit different today. So quite often we do cards, don't we? Designs that can go in journals or on cards. And today we're going to do a spot of recycling and we're going to make ourselves a little tea light holder. And this is the tea light holder. I've popped it that way because obviously it's easier for you to see. But when I put it this way, you can see I've got a little tea light in this one. You could have a battery operated light if you want. And the idea is this, it's going to go on my patio garden table and I'm going to light it when we're sat in the garden. Now I'm going to make two. This is the one we're going to put the paint on because I'm thinking this would make a lovely, when my sweet peas start flowering, would also make a lovely vase for my sweet peas, and I could have them both on my table in the garden. That's my plan, and you know what, it gives me something to look forward to this summer. I love my garden. So a bit of recycling as well, I've got to be honest. I save all my mum makes jam, and not that I've ever done it, and marmalade and things like that. So I'm used to saving all my jars. So I've got plenty of jars. So this is a great use for them. Now, what I will say, mine are just going to go on my table, but what you could do when it comes to putting the string on, you could make yourself a loop and then hang them. How pretty would that be with the lights in and hung from the trees? Especially the battery operated ones. It's not easy to say that. Hanging in your garden, very pretty. And it's up to you how much detail you want to put on. Now, as always, this is just my take on it. And you can either watch or you can join in with me. So I'm going to put that to one side and I'm going to start with a jam jar. Now, obviously, any old jam jar. Just clean it. Now, we're going to add some white. You could add gesso, white gesso, but I've got to be honest, I couldn't put my hand straight on mine, so I'm going for some white acrylic paint. It's like everything. You know, when we're crafting, we always turn our hand, use whatever we've got. Now, I'm only going to put a little bit on my mat. And I'm going to add some water. I've got my 1-inch flat brush. These gold liner brushes, I use them for so much. For paint, gesso. Amazing. And they just wash every time. I mean, I've had these for years, as you can tell by the marks on them. Now, what I'm going to do is literally just, and this is just, I want to take the whiteness, the clearness, I should say, off the jar, off the jam jar. And I'm just almost doing a bit of a dry brush over the whole of the jam jar. Just going to do the bottom. Now, what I haven't done is put myself a spare mat for this to dry, because I've got one that is dry that we're going to decorate. So that was a bit of a schoolboy error, wasn't it? Now, have I judged that right with the amount of paint? Now, depending on how you like the effect, you can leave it just dry brushed like this. But I've got to be honest, I like to take a wet wipe, and this is a wet wipe, obviously the biodegradable type, and I just like to dab my jar. And what that does is it takes a little bit of the paint off and it gets rid of any brush strokes. Now what I need to do is put my hand, clean hand, don't I, in there, and then I can hold it better. And it just means, can you see that it's got more clear areas? Because I don't want it to be solid paint, but I don't want it to be solid clear. I almost want that mottled dry brush effect. And for me, I mean, if you have a way of doing this that you're used to doing, by all means do that. But for me, this is the best way that I can achieve that. I want to leave the base solid. I like the base with a solid white, I must admit. So I'll add a bit more onto there. And then I'm going to put this out of shot. Let me get an acrylic block to stand it on, because like I say, didn't think about where to put that, did I? So that I would leave to dry. It won't take long, but obviously I have got one that I've already prepared. For those of you in the UK, in good old Blue Peter fashion. And those of you out of the UK, maybe you could Google it and see what our Blue Peter is. I have got a Blue Peter badge, you know, but there again, I dare say many crafters have. So here's my jar ready done. And as you can see, it just gives, oh, is that an Eric? Don't tell me we've got an Eric hair on there. So that gives a nice mottled effect, which is just what we want. Now, the next thing to do is I'm going to use a hot glue gun, and I've switched it on, so I just want to check it's working. And what you want to do is we'll add the string first. And look for yourself, I want a sort of earthy garden sort of, so I've gone for garden twine. And also, to go round, I've gone on that same sort of Hessian sort of theme. So I've got different products. This is what I used on the original one, look. Can you see that? So I've got that, but also I've got this. So I think I may use this on this one, just for a bit of difference. And what I'm going to do is start and wind. I'm not keen on this bit of the jam jar, I must admit. So that's where my garden twine's going to come in. And I'm just going to add a bit of the hot glue gun, because to me, that's the best way of just getting that fix on here. And I'm just going to start and twist it round. Now, I do think if you've got a summer garden party, wedding, you know, something where you're having people round, or, I mean, I know that weddings certainly here you can have, is it up to 30 people? I forget, but certainly now they can take place. I think something like this will be lovely, and imagine how nice it will be for you to make them. So all I'm going to do, so like I say, if you wanted to have a handle, the way I would do it is leave yourself enough for a handle, glue it and keep twisting round. Mine are going to be freestanding, so I'm just going to keep putting this round. I want to capture that bit there. Oh, we need a bit. Now you can do it, I like to sort of overlap mine top and bottom, so I've got no definite lines. I just think it looks more natural, but you can do it any way you want. And again, I'm just going to cut mine there. And I'm going to add another little bit of glue there. Just a little bit at the end. Just to finish that. And obviously, because I've got my hot glue gun, it dries straight away. So it's good for, if you haven't got that, the pin flare glue is good. But obviously that takes overnight to dry. And I just thought for this demo, it's better to have something that dried straight away. So I'm going to come in with my... Now, my suggestion here is decide which is going to be your front. I really don't think it makes any difference with this. And I tend to glue mine at the front, because what I've found is where I put my embellishments here, that's where I've got the glue underneath. So what I would do is I've cut my piece to size. And as I say, this is great because you don't need a lot. Look at that, that's all you need. So it'd be a great way of looking and seeing if you've got any oddments you could use. Just want to check they do overlap. And then what we'll do is, again, pop some glue under there. Wrap it round tight. And then add some glue there. You can put some halfway if you want. I find with these jars I don't need it. I'm just going to wipe my fingers. Now, when it comes to your choice of stamps, this is perfect. You will have so many stamps that will fit this design. So, I mean, I'm not going to use the same stamp because I've got so many. I'm going to use a different one. But again, look through your stash. Look through any wooden embellishments you've got, metal embellishments. With my wooden embellishments, what I've done pre-done is when I was putting the white paint on, I've just added a thin coat of white paint to them ready, so I can decide what I'm going to use. Now, when it comes to my stamping, for this one, I decided I'd use this lovely stamp. and it's the Lotus Cluster. And I thought this one here. Do bear in mind as well, think of how easy or difficult it is to cut out, and depending how much you like cutting out. So that's something to bear in mind. This one, just in case any of you ask, it's an all in create stamp, and it's number 441. And it's called Lotus Cluster by Bipasha. As I say, I'm a bit naughty. I tend not to tell you numbers and names, and I must start doing that. And all I've done is stamped it out on a spare piece of card, look. Now I've cut mine out ready because you don't want to watch me cutting out. Although to be fair, if you've got a nice brew and a cheeky biscuit, I'm sure you won't mind. And we're going to do some quick colouring in. So I've just got a selection here of my oxides, and I'm just going to put them on my mat. And I'll just decide on that. We're just going to watercolour. You know I like to do this, and I'll just decide what I'm using as I'm doing it. So I've got quite a wide brush. Now I'll start with my faded jeans. It's quite a light colour, so I'll do a bit of a wash on some of the flowers. And again, this is just for speed. I mean, you can take a lot longer if you want. And again, you could colour coordinate these if it was for a wedding. You could go with the theme, couldn't you? I'm just going to add a bit deeper colour. And I love the mixture of the tones here, because you won't get a definite colour. And I love that because in nature, when you look in the garden, you know, even petals on flowers, you never get two the same. Got some gorgeous tulips at the minute, and they're sort of a red with yellow lines in, but no two petals are the same. I do love looking at nature and just getting ideas. And I think let's introduce a bit of purple to this mix. So again, we'll add some nice purple tones just to give that overall sort of purple effect, but not the same amount on all of them. Like I say, you could colour coordinate this if you wanted to. Just love the colour that gives. I'm just going to put a bit more wilted violet on my mat, just to pick up a bit deeper colour. Just in the centre there where it will be deeper, and at the bottom here. So obviously where you've got the shadow, it would be deeper, wouldn't it? So we want that deep, just to make it look a little bit more realistic. And again, you can just come in with that now. We don't have to wait. In fact, it's quite nice because you're almost doing wet on wet. So the colours will blend. And you know me, I tell you, I'm not a colourist at all. But this, using little techniques like this, it makes me look like I know what I'm doing when I don't. I like a bit of a cheat in colouring. There we go. Now I think that's really pretty. Now I need something there. Let's go for an orange. I've not got an orange out, but let's go a bit of burning bonfire, aka crackling campfire. But sorry, in my head, it's always going to be burning bonfire. Might need a bit more water with that. Don't want the colours to run, so I didn't want to add too much water. Now again, I could come in and add some, just going to add a little bit, there's a stalk there. I'm going to add the orange, so it's almost like the brown. Now I like that. I think that when that's on there, it's going to be very pretty. I don't want it any brighter at all. In fact, let's tone that orange down a little. There we go. So we'll clean this up. Now I could come in with my chalk pastel pencils and I could add some more detail, but I don't want to. I like that. I want it to almost look that sort of watercoloured, you know, natural sort of, and I'm happy with that. I don't really want any more detail. The stamps are so beautiful, and I'm thinking that on here, look, will just look beautiful. And again, you can add as little or as much as you want. Now, what I'm actually going to do is just put a couple of my ink pads either side, and it just helps stop my jar rolling too much. So I'm thinking, if I have this here, I want to add a piece of this lovely washi tape, and I'm going to go for the word believe. Just happens that that's the next one, but I like that. And I'm thinking I'll add that up here, look. Now, although it's sticky, I have found, now I'm not going to use my, I'm going to use my pin flare glue for this. And although the washi tape is sticky, I'm just going to add a little bit, sort of the belt and braces. You know, I like my belt and braces. It's my twofer. I want to make sure it does stick. And I'm just going to add believe there. So that when I put this here is just under there, look. So I need that there. Right, so going to add my middle bit here. Now it does dry quite quickly, so I didn't want to put the glue on all of my flower at once because I find it almost dries too quickly. So I'm going to add a little bit in the middle here. And if you get any stringy bits, either pull them off or leave them on as added embellishments. It does help if you twist your hot glue gun as you lift it up. Now I do apologise if I go out of shot. So I'm just going to add some here and a little bit here. Right, twist it and press it down. There we go. Like I say, you could use the pin flare, but I find this gives me a really good hold so that I can show you. Now, do I want to add? I actually think the butterfly is going to be too big for this. I think that'll be better on the bigger jam jar that I've got. What about a nice wooden leaf? Yeah, I think that would look pretty, wouldn't it, coming from there? So what I want is this side, although you can't see it, is the side that's got a little bit of white on. I got one that's a bit more obvious. Yeah, there we go, that one. It's more obvious, look, with the white. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit. Now, shall I go blue or purple? I think we'll go for the blue. So what I'm going to do is just get a smoothie, dab it in there, look, in my peacock feathers, and it'll go lovely on top of where the paint is, and it almost gives it that weathered, washed look. They almost look like these have been found at the beach. Well, that's what I think anyway. And that will go lovely there. So again, little bit of hot glue, pop that one in place. And really, you can build up. You could spend ages doing this. And I must admit, I love adding the embellishments. For me, that's the favourite bit. And what I have got is some of these lovely stamens here. I mean, I bet if you look, you've collected all sorts of things I have. So I'm just going to add. And what looks nice is if you twist the stamen, look, and then pop them underneath. So they're popping out. Now for this, because I found the glue, that hot glue gun dries a bit quick and it can get on your fingers. You don't want to burn your fingers. So for me, when I'm adding these, I'm going with my pin flare. And I just sort of make a bit of a bunch and then, let's see, put that under there. So that looks nice there. Let's have a look. Shall we have a, oh, would look nice to have one here, wouldn't it? Just popping out from there. So same thing, I'm just going to twist it at the base. Little bit of pin flare, look. And then pop it under there. Yeah, so I like that. I want 3 of these. So I've got one there, one there. So I think we need one here. Oh, under there would be perfect. So have I got another one? Yeah. Same thing, just twist them. So whatever bits you've got, you have a look in your stash. I bet you've got all sorts of things you could use. Now, I just want to push that under a little bit. Yeah, that's perfect. I think that's lovely. Now, you could add something on here if you wanted, so that it looks nice all the way round. Again, that's totally up to you. You could do a little bit more stamping. Maybe there's a smaller flower on this. I could maybe add a smaller flower at the back. But I'm so happy with that. And look at that. It didn't take long, did it? And like I say, you can add, I must admit, I got these out, little ladybirds. But I think the two, do you know what I think? What do we think? Shall I put one on? Let me have a little look. They're so cute. Yeah, I'm going to go for it. Do you know what? In for a penny. We'll add that little ladybird. Right, so lid on my glue. And what's lovely, as I say, if you get your stash out, it's lovely to go through. If you're anything like me, I've got almost some drawers where I keep all my flower making products. And as I say, that's useful because look, it does roll. Use your ink pads. And the last thing, the white Posca pen. And let's just add, now again, you don't have to do this if you don't want. I just want some nice arty splatters. And on the jar if I can. Oh yeah, that's nice. And on there, just this side. Perfect. Right, let's put the lid on. Now it won't be easy to show you this, but I'll try. So there we go, look. So quick and easy. Now again, if you were thinking, I mean this, I wouldn't leave outside. If you were thinking of, you wanted to leave it outside, you know, you can always spray your flowers with a spray varnish. And they do some lovely sparkle spray varnishes. So that's something you could do. But I just think these are so pretty. And I just wanted to come in and share them with you. So I'll put them both there. I'm hoping you can see them both. And as I say, that didn't take long at all, did it? So thank you for joining me. It was a bit quick today, wasn't it? Have fun. I'd love to know if you do these designs. And I'd love to know, you're going to put a tea light in, or are you going to put flowers in like I've done? Or maybe put it in your craft room and put your Posca pens in. Whatever you do, have fun. As I say, let me know. And thanks to everybody for subscribing. And thanks for all your lovely messages. I do read them. And thank you for answering each other's messages. And it's lovely for anybody who's stuck in the US or Canada that was saying they couldn't get hold of this pin flare glue. One of our lovely friends has said you can get it on Amazon in the US. So anybody who's struggling, there's a supplier for you. Anyway, you take care, everybody. As always, much love and hugs. Bye for now.